Hello everybody! We're finally halfway through the campaign, so it's time to learn what the plot is all about, courtesy of Athena and her convenient dream sequences. This mission is like a series of small, semi-playable cinematics. Man, just look at Arcantos being lazy there while everybody else does all the work.
We are safe here for now. We will plan in the morning.
Watch the right side carefully here, and you can actually see Castor before you're supposed to.
You have done well. Now I must prepare you for the rest of your journey. Zeus is all-powerful now, but it was not always so. Ages ago, the Titans ruled the universe under Kronos, and humanity suffered under their harsh rule.
That's based on some versions of the story, but in other myths, the rule of Kronos was actually the Golden Age from which we get that phrase. So, not a bad time for humans.
Follow me, Father.
Like I said, this is basically a semi-playable cinematic. I can't control Castor, so I really just have to do what he says and follow him along this path. I can speed things up a little bit by knowing where he'll go and what'll happen when he gets there.
You are not as other men, Father. You are favored by the gods. Get the relic to the temple.
Already got it, of course. It's actually there even before it becomes visible, by the way. Again, cinematic. I can't actually control these statues, so I just have to watch them tear apart the Cyclops for me. Gargarensis over there is the real threat. He'll completely slaughter Arcantos if you let them fight. I can't directly make the statues focus fire Gargarensis, so instead I just reduce the number of other living targets they could go after. I'll just fight him over here where I'm ready to move on once he finally dies. As you can see, his stats are really quite formidable, and he'll crush Arcantos in a straight fight if you let him. I've never quite figured out the mechanics of how the statues work, by the way. They're quite strange.
The trials you face strengthen you. Continue the journey before
So I got the
you,
head
Father.
start I was ready for. Now I'll grab my allies and I'll run back, actually. The game designers really did not expect you to do that, but it saves several seconds if you lure them back to the statues here. I've actually found a few tricks for messing up the real cinematics in various ways. I'm going to show one of those off now. So you see, I'm running Arcantos back, which means he'll be on the wrong spot and not visible when the cinematic begins. Athena will talk to a flag instead.
Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades did battle with the Titans in a great war. Kronos and the Titans were imprisoned in Tartarus, the deepest part of the underworld. Zeus came to rule over all the heavens. Poseidon envies his brother's domain and wishes it for himself. Kronos knows this and tempts Poseidon with promises of power if he is released.
Poseidon? No.
Yes, there are several places where one can enter Tartarus, but Zeus sealed them all with adamantine doors. These can only be opened by a mortal's hands, Gargarensis.
The gate. That's what we saw when we entered Erebus in Greece.
Yes, Gargarensis believes that if he helps the Titans return, Poseidon and Kronos will make him immortal as a reward.
If I click really fast, I can see Athena's stats here. Otherwise, she vanishes in less than a second. As you might expect, the people of Athens had several myths like this one. They also had one about how she has a magical giant snake that lived in the temple on top of the Acropolis, apparently. There really was also a spring of salt water on the Acropolis, and they said that was put there by Poseidon, usually. Anyway, second semi-cinematic coming up. In this part, we can actually control Castor, but he's extremely weak and not terribly useful.
Destroy this landslide.
The first thing I need to do is recruit these troops by walking by, which works kind of clumsily, unfortunately. As usual, I can't actually double-click to group things up, so I'll have to take a few extra seconds here to get organized. These catapults in particular are very important. Catapults, by the way, are much like Greek Petropoli, but they're a little bit better and only available in the Mythic Age. These shades are the same special ones as on the previous Underworld level. They instant kill myth units, but can't do any other fighting. The enemy units here are very dangerous and love to go for the catapults if they can do this quickly, so it's worth spending a few extra seconds to take them out with the shades first. This cool-looking guy Theris is some kind of enemy from Arcantos' past. We actually saw him during the prologue, and Athena will repeat the same line from then again now, which I think is kind of cool, but we never really get a background on him. It's very important to take those chimeras down. And yeah, you may remember that line from the prologue. So of course it's very important to take the chimeras down early, then my catapults can advance to destroy the rock slide as fast as possible. Besides just being very weak, Castor doesn't have a hero's normal resistance to myth units, so these guys will run him over easily. This is a new god power here, a Norse one actually, called Flaming Weapons. It's quite useful. It powers up all human soldiers, including my catapults, by 50% for about a minute. You could almost think of it as being like the opposite of bronze, except that it's global instead of just targeting one area. Now the trick here is being ready to intercept some myth units which are about to pop up in 1 second. There we go. Okay, take down these chimeras as fast as possible, then go for the Avengers before they kill any catapults. If they were determined, I couldn't save all the catapults. But with restoration and running the target away, I can usually keep it alive. There are a few more minor attacks, but that's the most difficult one done with. Meanwhile, I've been chipping away at that rock, as you can see, most of the way done. These Hydras and Scorpion men are just not the same threat level as Chimeras and Avengers. Plus, as you can see, Zeus is going to help out with them, so really no problem at all. Well, at this point, that rock is going to go down no problem. 0 casualties. Worked out quite nicely all in all. By the way, at least post-Greek sources such as Virgil did indeed say that the gates of Tartarus were blocked with adamantine doors or gates. In a lot of Greek sources, though, the word just seems to mean diamond. It still gets used in that sense from time to time. For example, I believe Tolkien had one of the 3 elven rings described as being set with an adamant. Anyway, the next part of the mission is where the real fighting begins. It can be fairly tricky, largely because the enemy behavior is unusually unpredictable. Both sides will also have some unusual toys, which make this battle rather complicated.
Your enemy lies across the sea, Father. Your fleet awaits.
Remember when I said my units would always be blue? I lied. One thing I like a lot about this mission is that it uses many storytelling tricks like that, which are only possible in a video game. So, good use of the medium there. So we're Gargarensis' team now. Besides Kamos out here on the beach, these ships are stuffed full of powerful units, including Gargarensis himself. Sadly, no Kemsit though. The guy has stats, but he's never either playable or fightable. Quite a shame. If you check him out in the editor, he has a pretty weird attack animation, by the way. As you can see, I sent my pirate ships out to distract the enemy fleets while my transport ships slip on by. The real work is done by that team of Krakens which joined me moments thereafter. As I've mentioned a few times, Krakens have a special ability which instant kills ships. Oh, and recall from the first mission, by the way, that it was Krakens which attacked Atlantis back then, so a bit of extra significance there. I finally get to play as Hades. You can see that his god power creates these 4 guardian statues at a town center. Moderately useful against raiding. I'm going to drop off my villagers separately to make sure they don't get lost in the crowd. Lack of space is a serious challenge on this mission. The first order of business is making a fortress down here as fast as possible. Some more villagers will be helpful too. Meanwhile, I'll take this quiet moment to get my troops organized and grouped up as best I can. It really is kind of a clumsy army here. I'm going to need at least a medium strength economy, so I'll throw down some docks and storehouses soon enough. Enemies are coming very soon. There's a good reason I'm building all the way down here, by the way. You'll see that in a few minutes. I'm not the only one with unusual god powers this time.
Destroy those siege weapons!
This upgrade is unique to Hades. It gives a trickle of gold from then on. Quite useful because it's so cheap. I have statues of lightning here guarding the town, so I can win fights here easily enough. I just need to make sure I don't get boxed in. And of course, I still can't control the statues, unfortunately. I want a second fortress promptly so I can train troops from them faster. The enemy has plenty of powerful god powers too, as you can see. I'll have my temple turn out Cyclops, both because I need more melee units and because I want to be using all my resources efficiently. As powerful as my army may seem right now, the enemy has the means to destroy it fairly easily, because they have many powerful Greek heroes who can run over these myth units. As usual for playing Greeks, I don't have a good way to heal either, so I need to kind of hang back and let the statues do as much of the work as possible until I'm really ready to attack. You'll see soon why I need these Petropoli. Now that the first one is trained, it's time to begin my advance. I'll train enough of them for the upgrades to be well worth it. Particularly the speed ones, since I'll be trying to win fast here. This enemy catapult loves to run away and waste my time. It is critical on this mission in particular to keep everybody grouped up before you start moving in. Just gotta keep these Petropoli coming. Once those villagers finish, I'd better redirect them onto lumber. I'll need lots of that to train all these catapults. Trying to rush on this mission typically results in a massacre, and then a long, grinding second wave before you finally win. There's a lot of other nuisances and setbacks that slow you down too, unfortunately. So now you can see that the reason I need all these catapults is to take out the enemy statues of lightning. If I don't do that, they'll rip my army in half. As a rather large annoyance, the statues don't actually count as buildings, so catapults aren't super effective against them and usually miss them. But at least I have better range, which is what really counts. My speed is highly dependent on how many Petropoli I have alive, so I need to have my heroes move to intercept quickly. Any time now, you'll find out why I built so far back. Yeah, as you can see, I'll just miss and miss and miss, so it takes forever. Alright, there we go. I can inch a little bit further forward to bring the next one into range and then take that one down too. They've got like 10, but only 5 or 6 or so in important locations. As usual, I need to be ready to defend and intercept. At long last, I have my only chance in the entire campaign to unleash the most devastating god power there is. Earthquake. This thing can wipe out an entire town in one click. It's amazing. But like I said many missions ago, it's not available to Zeus players, and they pretty much always make us play as Zeus when we're Greeks. Honestly, I have more fun finally using Earthquake and Chimeras on this level than I do using Gargarensis and Statues of Lightning. As you can see, they also have Earthquake, and you can't really stop them from wiping out your town with it. That's why I built so far back though, where it would be safe. Alright. So the next order of business is to take out the important buildings without aggroing further enemy forces. Oh, as yet another needless nuisance, they're playing as Poseidon, so every time one of their buildings dies, you have to fight another wave of militia units. There's one of their superheroes, Perseus, who will instant kill people with his Medusa head, just like a Medusa would. The enemy priests have just absurd range in this mission for some reason. I think that's some kind of glitch probably, I don't know why it would be intentional, but they outrange your catapults, which is again, a nuisance. As you can see, it's really hard to kill Perseus when they have almost nothing but myth units to do it with. Someone like Gargarensis is stronger of course, but Gargarensis is very badly injured. You don't really have a good way to heal except for your hero's natural regen rate, which is too slow for someone with a high max HP count like Gargarensis. Also, much like regular Cyclops, Gargarensis' pathing is kind of bad, so he's hard to actually use. Man, the super range on those priests is really annoying. Look at those hit points. Thankfully, catapults are highly resistant to pierce damage, and priests are pretty weak anyway, but they will still chip these things down if you're not careful. This useful god power curse converts several enemy units into pigs, which you can then eat. I'm monitoring my resources during the battle, of course. I think I could use more people on wood right now. I really need to make sure I don't go in too far and aggro the wrong people right now. Not only is there another Statue of Lightning up there, but they also have a very, very dangerous, huge army waiting. I need to fight them from here where there's a choke point and I'm relatively safe, and also take down the temple which is training these pesky priests. They'll miss many times, of course, but I have no better way to do it. They have very few ranged units, so in this location they can't use their full numbers against me. Of course, I can't use my full numbers either, and my big myth units spend a lot of time wandering around clumsily. As I mentioned before, the constricted spaces are one of the more challenging things about this mission, and one of the more annoying too. They definitely spent their time on this mission focusing on the cinematic elements of it, rather than on the gameplay. So that fight went about as well as it could. I didn't take too many casualties, and I gained several Hydra heads, so I'm in good shape to proceed. Once my catapults take down that next Statue of Lightning anyway. Alright, good. Now I'll try to slip everybody back over here without aggroing any further enemies right now. I really wish I had a way to heal up these multiple-headed Hydras, but alas, I'm playing the Greeks, so I don't. This most recent expansion actually did add a Greek healer unit, who's actually kind of overpowered, but of course is not accessible in the old campaign. Resources are quite short on this mission since your town hall gets destroyed and so forth. I still need to progress slowly because there's one more giant army and one more Statue of Lightning I need to deal with. I just need to keep moving along slowly, keeping everybody together, not aggroing the enemies, and taking down their statues. And again, as I take down these buildings, I need to be aware that that will spawn militia, and if I attack them in the wrong way, that'll aggro the other people who are standing nearby. Watching my Petropoli repeatedly miss these big stationary targets never stops irking me. If only there was some more elegant way to take them down. Now this other large army they have coming up has all the big Greek heroes, so they will tear you apart and wreck all your myth units if you let them. You need to be very careful, focus fire the heroes down, and preferably not pull them all at once. Also, it's good to keep them attacking things other than your myth units. The main reason it's important to take down these production buildings as you go is less that the units they produce are difficult to deal with, and more that they kind of hit you from the flank and easily go for your catapults if you're not careful. You see that mass of myth units there? It'll wipe out your whole army of myth units in like 10 seconds if you're not careful. I'll get rid of that tower next, so I have more room to maneuver in that direction. As you can see, they do have their own ships which they occasionally produce that can slip by your defenses, but they really don't matter because your Krakens can take them out effortlessly whenever you need to. As you can see, I've pulled in some of the enemy heroes to try to focus them down while my catapults work on the buildings and the statue. My own heroes are pretty much my only effective weapon against the enemy ones, because my myth units do between 1/2 and 1/4 damage to them. If I wasn't trying to go quickly, I would probably build some archers to help out. Need all those resources for catapults, though. When Gargarensis actually does get into the fight, he really carries the team. Need to keep grabbing catapults and redirecting them toward the front lines as they're trained. There. Most of the important enemies are dead. I can just thin out this remaining crowd while my catapults go for that wonder, which will let me win. That's the Poseidon Wonder, of course, and I think it's meant to be the theater of Dionysus at Athens, but that was really not any kind of spectacular building, actually. And during the years when Athens was the center of Greek culture and all the great Athenian playwrights lived, it really wasn't anything at all, just like a bunch of wooden benches. Oh, there's the Theocrat, by the way, that Atlantean leader who we saw near the beginning of the game, who sent Arcantos out in this quest to begin with. He's a hero, but he can't fight. I think there's actually several copies of him around. Well, it took a while, but I won. That's about as fast as I can do this mission, really. There's just a lot of points where one has to move very slowly and carefully. Time for one more cinematic.
Zeus cannot interfere directly or it will touch off a war amongst all the gods. That is why you are here. Make no mistake. If Kronos escapes, this will be Atlantis. And all you love will be lost.
Both in and out of character, having us play the enemy team and wreck Atlantis was a great way to show that.
Arcantos, are you all right?
Yes, just a bad dream.
They all know the gods are real, so I'm not sure why he doesn't tell the full truth
join
there.
us. It is time to plan our attack.
Let me make sure I understand. Osiris's pyramid guards another passage to the underworld?
Yes, if we can reunite the body of Osiris, he will live again.
We have one piece. There are 3 more which must be found and brought here.
We have to split up. Amonra, you, Chiron, and I will divide our forces and recover the other pieces. Ajax, you come with me.
Ajax and Arcantos sitting in a tree. Well, that concludes Age of Mythology the movie. Have a great day, everyone.